Well, good day, my good friends. How is everyone? Good. This is gonna be a fun one. This project took thousands of man hours and several years to complete, but I am happy to say that me and the whole team are so proud of it and excited to share it with you. I think it's a really good example of at root Icon's effort to revisit classic transportation in a modern context. And there's lots of cool subplots and stories in the build. So let's get into it. This is a 1970 Chevrolet Suburban. They sold a gazillion of these, and they're quite nifty. Unique body style. This is the first generation of this style body. Oddly, they have 3 doors, which I didn't discover until pretty deep into the project, but apparently in a rare moment of respect for intellectual property, General Motors found out that International, for the Travel All, owned the rights to a 4-door sport utility whatever. So instead of fighting it, they waited for it to expire, and then later generations had the 4-door. But this generation had the 3-door, and they used the marketing spin of saying, well, it's for safety, so the kids get out on the passenger side. I don't know, it seemed like kids knew to watch for traffic. But anyway, I guess that hurt European sales. I don't think they ever exported these. I know they made them in Brazil, or sold them in Brazil. But anyway, I digress. We thought it was silly, so we decided to make it into a 4-door. Another fun thing is the shape and the general design is brilliant, but let's be honest, 1970 Detroit, it's kind of power to the pencil pusher era. They were cutting corners and trying to shave costs and fight off them imports and all them goodies. So to me, a lot of the detailed design work is kind of the result of commoditization or platform sharing or that'll work good enough. But if you look at 1970 design and almost all other aspects of industrial design, from audio equipment like Marantz, their design's super cool. Furniture, architecture, watches, whatever, there's some really cool stuff going down. So I decided this would be a fun excuse to do a little expansion of my knowledge base. So I bought the Industrial Design Year in Review, 69 through 71 books from the leading trade groups, and I did me some reading. And I found myself again and again really drawn to the work of Mies van der Rohe. Now, Van der Rohe, to my knowledge and based on my research, never did anything in transportation. But he had sort of this brutalist, post-Bauhaus, linear but chunky but fluid, simple shape and form, especially his architecture. I found this one building in particular, and I'm like, okay, there you go. Let's play a little revisionist history, which I like doing with these one-offs anyway. So I put myself in the theoretical shoes of Van der Rohe under the concept of, okay, what if Van der Rohe had been involved, at least in the concept development of the vehicle? So we didn't chop the top, we didn't alter much with respect to the body other than rehemming every single door skin and fender and stuff because the gaps were just so sloppy. But we did add the 4th door, which is a long story in and on itself. But we started by removing all of the superfluous exterior trim and bright work and anodized tin and all that stuff. Just got back to the raw, clean form and then started from scratch. So, with Van der Rohe in mind, the exterior door handles, the front grille, the rear view mirrors, the interior door locks, the window regulators, the door release, the armrests, the door panels, interior door and cargo spears, seats, seat hardware, steering wheel, dash panels, all knobs, all marked escutcheons, the clock, the typography on the clock and on the gauges, the brake release, like the center console, all of it designed in chorus, one and done just for this vehicle. And oh my goodness, it was so much fun. The grill alone was about 50 hours of machine time. We're talking about what started out as roughly 6 foot by 1 foot solid block of 6061 that then got milled down. So it has a really deep draw to it by design, and it tapers and pinches forward at the nose. So that architectural influence gave us that depth. So like the air inlet vents are seriously deep billet, and then Cerakoted in the recesses to accentuate that depth. We left the bumper stock down to the carriage bolts. All of this billet trim was fully plated and brushed nickel and then ceramic coated. The glass has a super moderate tint to it, but nothing cray-cray. And the client that we built this for, he's just a pleasure to work with. We've had the good fortune of building him several icons, and this time I think he took a little pleasure in getting me out of my comfort zone. So he said, I want it super low, I want it super stealth, I want it very aggressive, I want copious amounts of horsepower, and I want it to stick. I want it to slot car handle, even though it's several tons. Other than that, I'll stay out of the kitchen. So it was really fun. I got to make up that concept, and of course kept the client involved in that. So like with the different concepts for the grill when they were still in 2D, we'd like send him different renderings and choices and pick his favorite, and then we'd party on with that, get it into the 3D, and we machined the grill many parts in Delrin first before we committed to aluminum. Fitted on the vehicle. We also 3D printed things like the door handles, just to kind of fit it, touch it, get a feel for it. It's a great opportunity with the low cost of 3D printing to really make changes and really get into the finite details and refine the design. So really glad we took that extra step. So all the exterior trim is super simplified. This rear door was a nightmare, but it's totally worth it. At first we went to an expert in adding this door to this model, and also an expert crew cabbing C10s and other early trucks. Unbelievably disappointing. Stole a bunch of parts, overcharged us, dropped it off and bailed. The left side had nothing to do with the right side of the vehicle. The door hit the B and C pillars when it closed. It was an absolute train wreck. In the end, we cut it all out and threw it in the garbage can. Wish we could have held him accountable. Humans. So we went back to the master. Should have in the first place. Went to Brian Stone. Stone's Metal Fab. He's done a lot of our more complex sheet metal work over the years. And Brian had never done this, but he's like, whatever, we got this. So we took our scanner and scanned the passenger side, got all the dims. Oddly enough, the skin of the door was the easiest thing to do. The B pillar was an hour-eating disaster. Like, the clearances are super, super tight. It's really difficult, especially with the narrow gaps that we wanted, sort of modern car fit and finish. But it came out so cool. And people that have like owned these trucks as they've been test driving will like stop and go, wait, but I thought mine didn't. And it's kind of a cool, subtle surprise for people. The inside has also been revolutionized. A lot of thought went into the interior design. So the typography on the gauges, as well as the center instrument panel or control panel, the main IP housing, glove box, AC vents, every knob, steering column, dress-up bits, the shifter, the hazard, the turn signal, the steering wheel, the armrest, the door panels, the underlit door and cargo spears, the window regulator, interior handle, all redesigned. By the way, the outside handle on the driver's side, in my design you'll notice the initials VF. Well, that was the uncle of the client who commissioned this build. And that was also part of the reason he chose this platform, because Uncle Vern worked at GM on the assembly line building these trucks. How cool is that? So we did a little nod to Vern with his initials on that driver. On the inside design, we kept with this large, chunky design format. We stayed, it's all 6061. We stayed with the nickel-plated trim. We did painted inserts, so it wasn't bright work. We worked with the harness, our electrical engineer, scratch build harness, mil spec, all the best stuff you can imagine. There's actually a secondary harness just for the crazy high-end audio system. Now, personally, I get to enjoy the sound of the wastegates and the turbos and the lovely massive exhaust, but the audio system will be installed by Matt at AI Design when we deliver the vehicle to New York, but our team worked with his engineers, so we ran and terminated power and gave him a dedicated fuse block, and he's going to build out the audio, so speaker enclosures, bass box, hidden in the rear quarters for the amplifiers and the bass and everything. It's all there ready to rock. And a really cool detail, the head unit, well, there isn't one, but it's going to be controlled through the rear view mirror. So forward and back, voice to text controls for Siri, that all comes through the rear view mirror, so that should be pretty nifty. We already did fit the reverse camera, which you see on the back on that lift gate. Other interior details, kind of a weird void in the middle when I redesigned fan, temp, and vent, ignition, and USB power port panel. So we decided to put a clock there in that center section. This is an I did it column. The steering wheel is one-off, our design and machining, half wrap leather, and then scallop CNC'd on the B side, which has a really nice tactile feel to it. The seat frames are lovely. They're custom from Snowden. The seat frames are super comfortable. They're a Tempur-Pedic style closed cell foam, which we re-sculpted and shaped to the contours to match the rendering we put together. And then they're covered in a really nice high-end Italian leather. You'll notice a double French stitch and a light gray contrast. That carries through to the door panel and cargo panel designs with a 45 forward rake for the stitch lines. The spears are lit when you open the door. They're super bright. When the doors are shut at night with the headlights on, they're just a really nice, subtle interior vibe. The dome light's pretty nutty. There's two of them because this thing's such a boat, but they're CNC aluminum housings that we scan the light, which is a really nice French FRENSCH brand marine military company, but it had a plastic housing, and y'all know how much I love plastic, so we canned that. So we got rid of those and just did the machine pieces on top. The headliner we completely converted and used sort of the metal rod suspension design. So copious layers and layers and layers of Dynamat, and then this beautiful dark charcoal Alcantara, and it really just kind of made the interior a little classier. Of course, we used our beautiful Rosen sun visors, same ones we sell on the website. So the universal fit's really cool because you can keep the original mounts and anchors, and you just chop those buggers and sleeve these on. But you get the really nice tinted Lexan, so really good visibility. And they rotate around and have all sorts of lovely adjustment that works out really, really, really nice. Rear view mirror is also power and auto dimming. And then in the cargo area, well, not just the cargo area, I mentioned exterior sheet metal mods were mostly limited to merely that rear driver's side door, but also the entire inner fender structure, the entire, 7/8 of the firewall, as well as the entire floor and mini tubs, all the way back to the tailgate, 100% fab from scratch. Why, you might ask? Well, because we did a one-off chassis with our dear friends at Art Morrison Enterprises. So we are running a 4-wheel Sport GT independent suspension. We've got the Dana 60s strange nodular third member, the rear independent with about 3 or 4 degrees of rear steer, the Sport GT front modified to fit the Icon Sport Brembo brakes. They're Hydro Boost assisted, and we ran 6 pots front and rear and massive calipers, and we just felt we needed a lot of braking power because many years ago, I think at the SEMA show, I met a guy named Tom Nelson. The gearheads probably already know the name. Absolute legendary custom engine builder. I think his happy place is about 2,100 horsepower on jet fuel. So I had to talk him into building something a bit more daily driver moderate. This thing though, it's like 100 degrees out in traffic with the AC on, idling 180 degrees. Nice smooth idle. But it's 1,000 horsepower at the rear wheels. It's an LSX base block, but then scratch built custom from the ground up using Tom's proven recipe, including his ridiculously visual, sexy, and fortunately very functional intake assembly. And then, yeah, 2 massive turbos. Deeds Engineering, Josh did his artwork with the exhaust. I mean, it's a sculpture. It's all TIG stainless. It's dual, full chassis, full length, and it's bridged. So it's not too obnoxious until you floor it. And then, yes, the gates of hell do open up. But the powertrain is just so much fun. And, like, you wouldn't know it until you need it or don't need it. And then it is gone. Like, gone. Transmission, custom built 4L85E, but hardened shaft and internals, highly tricked out. That was specially built for us by the guys at Gearstar. And usually, like these high horsepower Ricky Racer trannies, they can be just obnoxious and like slam, unless you're like full wide open throttle, and then they're kind of smooth. So they were lovely to work with. Like, they really listened to us and understood the dynamics we were going for. So smooth shifts, but man, when you nail it, it chirps the tires all the way into overdrive, and it just makes you giggle the entire time. We ceramic coated that exhaust. Then we had an aerospace firm do some very high technology thermal wraps. Without doing a big silly hood scoop, thermal management is a big challenge, especially with those turbos and the open exhaust and on and on and on. So we had to really work hard to do that. To keep the stealth vibe the client wanted, we used a lot of specialty coatings ranging from ceramics to Cerakote to powder coat finishes in the engine bay. Keep everything super stealth. We hid like the coil packs and things to keep it sexy. We left a lot of the CNC mill lines as part of the design language, like we did on the steering wheel as well. And I really dig that, but it was a balance of serviceability and sexy stealthness. So we're always trying to run that like knife's edge, that fine line, because I don't want it to be so stealth and hidden that like when you need to change a spark plug, you have to remove the front clip or any of that nonsense. So it worked out good, and it's just so much fun to drive. Tires, super sticky, super stout, super wide contact patch in the rear, not so wide in the front because we wanted to keep a reasonable turning radius. Reasonable diameter steering wheel, 16.8 to 1 ratio rack. So it's not twitchy, but it's ready for fun canyon carving. Fairly significant resistance in the wheel, which dynamics the client wanted, and I really liked the feel. Let's see, vintage air for the AC system, but of course, always. You know what? Let me pull over and let's go through, let's talk through the exterior stuff. Enough of this talking head nonsense. Let's see what we got. All right, so let's talk about the outside. Probably hard to hear me over that motor anyway. As I said, bumpers, left them dead stock, didn't geek out on that, although I was tempted to smoothie them out and kill this plane for the plate. But this truck's gonna end up in an eastern state where legally they have to run a front plate, so we left it. Really, the focus was, by getting rid of that bright work. This trim is actually the factory piece. We just painted it to match the body to really celebrate like the dimensionality of this. So these are custom, these are glass housing to keep it sort of conventional. And then again, this whole party is one piece of billet. It's just insanity, and it's super deep. The draw is pretty nutty on it. Wipers are stock. How about that? They did not have windshield washers, and we figured that was something that's pretty logical to need, so we added those. The rear view mirrors, one-off custom. Okay, I cheated just a little bit. The heads are the same as my design for our Bronco, but the arms are unique to the platform. This is the redesign that I was telling you about on the door handles, and there's Vern's initials and the push button. It just works out really, really nice. Oh, the power windows, we kept our analog crank, but double tap and then all four windows go down, double tap up, all four go up. It's got central locking, copious amounts of dynamat, like it is super stout and quiet. These wheels were done one-off finish from our buddies at HRE. I hope they don't mind. I did not run their center caps because it had too many graphics and colors, so we machined a simple one. Gas cap, I was kind of tempted to smoothie it and do a drop down, but the client liked the kind of retro vibe, so we got rid of the original cap and redesigned and machined this one in billet and then painted it body color. But we left that body detail. I think it still works because everything's just so smooth and fluid otherwise. We redesigned the lift handle. Again, we resisted going billet or flush with these, sort of a pick your battles moment. We redesigned this section, and you notice it's kind of hard to see, but we acid etched like we do on the Thriftmaster tailgates, the Icon branding, so it's just super subtle. But the rear hatch is kind of a cool design. We converted to gas shocks. For the drop tailgate, we ran the cable style system. This will get all clear broad for protection. Multiple layers of rubber backed carpet. All of it though is removable. So then if you get under the sacrificial layer to the base layer, then you'll see the floor work, and there's a quick access for the fuel pumps, yes, plural, and then that's the battery box. That access panel in the passenger rear cargo will be for some of the audiophile component system elements. Massive, big ol' mini tubs. This thing is so long though, even for the cradle for the IRS, there's still plenty of utility and room. And then the base boxes are coming in later. Mild tint, super mild. You'll notice that LED underglow lighting I was talking about, which is something we've been incorporating into more and more of our builds, but I really like the style of that. Let's see, what else? Tons of hours in the rain gutter of all silly things. We smoothed it out, hit all the rivet lines. It's hand-tigged full perimeter and then floated. Body, crazy amount of effort. It is stupid arrow straight. You'll notice the gaps pretty much have nothing to do with the original Detroit mid-century era gaps. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's pretty nuts, huh? We're really happy with it. Haha, see what I mean? Oh, this thing just makes me laugh. It's so much fun. Let's give it just one more little goose here. I love my job. This is cray-cray. Oh boy. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video and had the patience to make it through to the end. We're going to be sharing this car at my big fun charity event called Icons of Design. So if you can make it to the LA area, please come support my great charity. Come see the latest and greatest from most of the top pro builders. Old Anvil Garage, Velocity, Singer, Rod Emery, Gunther Works, Workshop 5001, Faraday Future, Cake, Vintage Electric, Myers Manx, the list goes on and on and on. Plus we'll have about 50 vendors offering you all sorts of cool and not necessarily expensive handmade clocks, watches, shoe wear, denim, outerwear, apparel, jewelry, home goods, furniture, like just beautiful craftsmanship, all sorts of great stuff from my wonderful friends coming from all over the country. So it's on November 19th. It's called iconsofdesign.org. This is the website. Tickets are only $35 a head. 100% ticket sales go to charity. Charity is gocampaign.org. And thank you so much to our friends at Haggerty and William Henry for sponsoring this event, making it possible. And to our buddies at Chances with Wolves, incredible DJs mixing some seriously cool tracks that you've never heard of, I guarantee you. So please come down. Full open bar, sponsored by Restaurant Group 1933. We really hope you can make it. If you can't, please spread the word. It's a great cause. And yeah, I'm excited to do it. So thanks again for your time. Please be well, be good to yourselves, be good to others. And see you on the next one. Peace out.